I have just finished reading The Silver Eyes, which is the first Five Nights at Freddy's book, written by Scott Cawthon and Kira Breed-Wrisley. I held off reading this for quite a long time. I was more into the games, so didn't really play the games myself. I played a couple of them. But typically I watch players like Markiplier play the games because I found them fascinating to watch and I really enjoyed the lore and the secrets and all that sort of stuff. So I became sort of a fan of the series. I want to play the games. I probably will on my channel. I might do that tonight, play the games again. And some of them for the first time. But I never read the books until now. And I've got the whole trilogy. So it's part 1. Second part is the Twisted Ones, third part is the Fourth Closet. And I'm going to read them all. But I'm going to review them one at a time. Let's talk about this one, The Silver Eyes. What did I expect when I came into this book? Having only watched the games, I expected a lot of mysteriousness and secrecy and complicated plot lines that you never fully got answers to. Did I get that in this book? No. What I got in this book was effectively a teen horror film in book form. Is that a bad thing? It wasn't what I expected, nor necessarily what I wanted, but I'm speaking from a subjective place right now. I was after something with, mystery, crazy stuff. You know, stuff you wouldn't expect. So, obviously there's going to be some spoilers in this one. Let's do a quick summary. The main character is a girl called Charlie. And she is joined by 6 intrepid troubadours. And they share a history with Five Nights at Freddy's, the establishment that's in this town in Utah? It was one of those American states with 4 letters that nobody knows about. You know, you got Utah, Iowa, Idaho. That's 5 letters. They had a childhood friend, Michael, who was killed at this Five Nights at Freddy's establishment when they were much younger. They're now 17, so they're just like learning to drive at this stage, which confused me at first because I was wondering why they're all driving everywhere. Over in this country, you typically start to learn at 17, and then by the time you're 18, you're looking at being a driver. Some probably earlier, but let's not go on tangents, Adam. The initial group consists of Charlie, of course, John, Carlton, and Jessica. So yes, there's... What are you meowing at, Lila? What do you want? I'm busy. Meow. What does that mean? How does that help me? Bugger off, would you? Yeah, this initial group, they go and explore. See if they can find this Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. The place isn't called Five Nights at Freddy's. One of them, Carlton Burke, actually lives in this town, Hurricane. I think it's in Ohio, actually. Yeah, I think that's it. Hurricane, Ohio. He still lives there, and he thinks, I'm not sure if it's actually still here or not. So they go off exploring, and there's this big mall construction site. Construction site. Remember, this is an Animorphs channel. Oh, construction site. Whatever. And they go up there and find out that the pizzeria has basically been entombed in this mall. It's still there, it's just been built around. And they find their way in, and they find that the Five Nights at Freddy's mascots are still there and still operational. And yeah, that's that bit. They are then joined the next day by Marla and her younger brother Jason and Lamar. What now? Can you see this? You see what I have to put up with? What do you want? What? Do you want to talk to the viewers? No, you just want to rub up against me. Typical bloody woman. Go on, get your fill. Yes, I love you too. But now it's time for my video. It's video time. I've got to turn the camera around again. Yeah, they're joined by these other three, and they go to this honorary event in Michael's name, the kid who died a few years ago. And then they all start thinking about it again, and this group of 7 now goes to Freddy Fazbear's. And there's actually a guard who walks around the place at night, and they try to avoid him. They go in again, have a look around, and they have a jolly good time. They then come again the next day, and this time the guard sees them, and he comes up and says, hello, hello, what's all this then? And he basically says, you know, I'll go in with you. Hint, hint, this guy's a bugger, okay? Lila, could you please stop? They go in and they find these control rooms to the animatronics. And they start messing around with them and say, oh, they're all still working. And then I believe Dave, who's this, Dave, not his real name, this security guard, he clearly knows more than he's letting on, okay? Turns out what eventually happens is that Cawthon, one of the group, is taken by this security guard who dresses up as who would eventually become Springtrap, the yellow bunny outfit. He gets taken and Jason sees it and he's all up in arms about it. And yeah, the group is a bit peeved. And they go to Carlton's dad's house, who is the local police head honcho in the police group, whatever they're called. He doesn't believe them at first, but they then go back to Freddy Fazbear's, and basically it then becomes that teen horror thing, where it's this group sort of scurrying around this place. They're being chased by Freddy, Bonnie and Chica and Foxy and all that gang, and they're also being chased by Dave. They find Cawthon, who's still alive, but he's in the Springtrap suit. Charlie saves him from that. And long story short, we get that scene like from the end of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, where Dave, who turns out to be William Afton, is in that spring-locked suit, and he gets spring-locked, and he's there on the ground like that, and then he gets dragged in by the mascots into the back room, and that is where we eventually end, and the group splits off to go back to wherever the hell they came from. There is stuff betwixt all of this, such as Charlie finding her old family home, and there's a line of closets. So her father was the creator of all these animatronics, and she has a lot of flashbacks to that, and she goes into a room where she's got animatronics moving around and all that sort of stuff. And it turns out her father died. It's not really clear on what happened. What I gathered, it was suicide by animatronic. Like he programmed an animatronic to kill him. That's what it seemed like from what I read. Whether that's canon to the main series, that's another question, by the way, that I'll say for the end. But yeah. By the end, the police chief, Carlton's dad, who is, his name is Clay, so Clay Burke, he figures out that something's amiss, and this part confused me because he saw the picture of this Dave and compared it to William Afton, who he already assumed was the guy who killed all these kids, because there was more than just Michael that died, there were a few. And he connects those dots, and then he goes looks at pictures of the animatronics, and he noticed that there were flashes in their eyes, but there was no camera flash. And I still don't know what that's about. What clue did he receive from that? That they've got sparkly eyes? I don't understand how that played a role in anything, but apparently I just missed the point there. There was also a bit in here where they go to Fredbear's family diner, and that's where Charlie's younger brother also disappeared. And by the end, she believes it's by the same guy. Michael turns up in Golden Freddy form. He morphed into Golden Freddy, haha, Animorphs. And yeah, that's when it sort of turns on its head, because they're all surrounded by these animatronics in like the climactic scene. And the Animorphs, the animatronics are all coming in closer, marching up, ho 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 and all that. And then Golden Freddy shows up in a corner over there somewhere. and the animatronics all just stop. And apparently he sort of speaks to this group, and they suddenly realise, oh, these animatronics weren't trying to kill us all along, despite everything that just happened. They're good now. They're good. They're good now. And then Dave tries to kill Charlie, but she activates Super Charlie mode and activates his spring locks while he's got her. Yeah. So that's basically the book summarised. And there's not much else to it, honestly. I am looking forward to reading parts 2 and 3 to see where they take it from here, because it's sort of left pretty much resolved. So apart from like there's some little bits that aren't, but this is Five Nights at Freddy's, the series, so I'm expecting more. But I'm just hoping it gets a bit more mysterious. And I hope there's more character as well. The biggest flaw, I think, with this book is that you've got a group of 7. A group of 7 people who do not have character development. And there are some who are worse than others. So there were some characters that I did quite like. So Marla and Jason, the brother and sister, they had a fair good whack of character. Apart from that, even Charlie, who is like our main character, there's not much to her. And in fact, she annoys me to a regard, because she is sort of the what's the trope? She's like the Rey Skywalker. Yeah, that's that sort of character. Like it's not the Supergirl trope. It's something like that, but where they're a badass. They're just great. Everyone likes them, and you know they're great at everything they do, and they succeed even where it seems completely implausible that they succeed, and they beat all the blokes in the local vicinity, and wow, girl power. And I freaking read Animorphs. Rachel from Animorphs, that's a badass girl done right. Very good. She will go around beating people up, but it's done in a way that's entirely believable and great, and she's a great character. This Charlie girl, she basically does everything. The other 6 characters are basically superfluous to this operation. They just sort of look over her shoulder at what's going on and occasionally have a quip to throw in. Whereas she stands at the front, I'm Charlie, and I'm gonna kill the Springtrap guy. I'm gonna do this thing where I've got to grab a thing on the ceiling, and instead of just asking someone behind me to, you know, let me get on their shoulders or something, I'm gonna do some weird crawling up the wall, and I'm gonna take out Chica by punching her in the noggin and all that sort of stuff. It got to the point where it was ridiculous. Is it the girl boss? Girl boss trope? I think it might be. Yeah, basically Rey Skywalker, where everyone loves her, she always does the right thing, and she's just great, and she solves all problems, and everyone around her is just basically a simpering idiot, just kissing at her feet all the time. Yeah, I just felt that way through the whole book, that there was nothing about her that felt real. She was just this character planted in there to be the badass. And everyone else, the worst example of characters around her, firstly, there's a couple of characters that had no character. So out of the 7, you've got Lamar and Jessica, who, so far as I know, have, especially Lamar, he's basically just there. He adds nothing. He might as well not be there. He's got no defining characteristics. And he doesn't do anything. He's just there. Jessica's much the same. Just exists. Carlton, his only defining characteristic is that he jokes at inappropriate times. That's it. That's about the extent of his character. This is why I say Marla and Jason are my favourite characters, because they've actually, I can tell you what their characters are like. So Marla is this, sorry, I've been talking a lot. Marla's this bubbly girl who's also very blunt and to the point, and she'll go at you, but then she'll turn around and have a bit of a joke, you know. I like her. I like that character. Jason is a grouchy young, like 11-year-old kid who's more obsessed with his games than doing anything, you know, bit like that. And that's more I can say for any of the other characters. So those are my favourites. The worst offender, though, the worst character in this book by far is John. Oh my god. He is like he is such a creep, man. He is such a... This is a horror book about him. What am I talking about, right? So from the moment he sees Charlie, he's constantly over her shoulder. Hello, Charlie. Every freaking time she steps this way. Hello, Charlie. She steps that way. Hello, Charlie. She gets up like in the middle of the night and steps outside for some fresh air. And guess who freaking... Hello, Charlie. And she cannot get away from this guy. Everywhere she goes, no matter what she's doing, here I come. He just comes along and he doesn't even help. He just sort of stands there with her. What an absolute creep. Yeah, he's completely useless throughout the story. I don't remember anything he does that actually helps Charlie in any conceivable way. He just hovers around her like some creeper who just he can't put it through his own head that he's got proper stalker vibes going on. Hello, Charlie. How are you today? Wouldn't be surprised if there's a scene where she's like taking a shower and he just pops up out of the freaking... What you doing, Charlie? That's the vibe I get from this guy. But I am taking the mickey of it. Would I read this book if it wasn't Five Nights at Freddy's? No, probably not. It's not the sort of thing I would typically read. Was it good? It was okay. The actual writing, if you take out the fact that there's no character, the writing's fine. The writing at times is very good. The descriptive phrasing and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's written quite well. The problem is there's just no character. I read Animorphs books. That's got character in spades. And even though you get some ghost-written books where the characters just seem a bit off, that's the point. You know when those characters are wrong. You know when those characters are acting out of character. You're thinking, hold on a minute, this is a bit weird. If Lamar could do anything in this book, and I'll just be like, all right then. I don't see anything wrong here. He could do anything. He could turn out to be like an ISIS terrorist or something. He just comes in with a belt on. And I'll just be like, okay, that's him then. I wouldn't turn around and say, that seems a bit out of character. No, I'll just accept it because he's got no defining features. I hope for better in books 2 and 3. I really do like the Five Nights at Freddy's series, and yeah, I was just a bit disappointed with this book, and I suppose I just didn't. I expected something different. I think that's probably why. It's still I still enjoyed it, partly for the fact that it is Five Nights at Freddy's, and it has those characters and that lore in the background, and I suppose it does, you know, back in 2016 when it was released. It would have given clues to the lore, which is something that a lot of the side Five Nights at Freddy's stuff did. So it's got its place and it's useful. I don't think it's canon because I think from the games, Charlie died as a kid, so this clearly wouldn't be canon. But maybe I learned some more stuff in books 2 and 3. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping to get some really interesting stuff in those ones. But yeah, what score would I give this? I'd give it a 5 out of 10. I mean, it kept me engaged. That's the main thing. There were some parts where it felt a bit of a drag, like the first third, but there were parts where I was like really invested in it. I thought, oh, what's happening here? I just would have been more invested if I had liked any of the characters. My favourite characters were the animatronics, of course, because I know them. Even though they haven't actually got character, they still sort of got weird character thing going on. But yeah, 5 out of 10, because it did keep me engaged for a while. It is Five Nights at Freddy's, and it had some of that vibe going on. And you know, yeah. But it just needed more character. It needed a character. Charlie needs flaws. I think that's just basic character writing. Charlie needed some humanity. There needed to be something about her. Maybe like she was a colossal bitch, I don't know. Like she spits on the face of people she just walks along the street spitting on people's faces. That's more character than she gets in this, you know. Might not be good character, but it's a flaw. And you could say, well, that's not very nice, but maybe she learns a lesson over here. In this regard, she stops spitting on people's faces. That relates me to her, because even though that's not something I would do, there's a character flaw and you overcome it, and everybody goes through that journey. It's just a way to relate to a character. But she doesn't have that. She's just a vehicle. A vehicle to make Five Nights at Freddy's into a book, and I think that's where it suffers. But you know what? I've got high hopes for the next 2 books in this trilogy, and thank you for watching this review. I hope to do a lot more book reviews this year. I've got a whole shelf full of sci-fi and fantasy and all that sort of stuff, so this is just a starting point, really. I wanted to do more reading last year, but ran out of time, a lot of the time. I'm hoping to do more. So thank you very much for watching, and it might be a while, but join me for the next one, where I'll probably be looking at the 2nd book of this trilogy, The Twisted Ones. So, thank you, and go check out my Animorphs stuff. Maybe you don't know Animorphs, and you've come to watch this video looking at Five Nights at Freddy's, and you think, oh, actually, I recognise Animorphs from somewhere. Go watch my What is Animorphs stuff. Go be a fan of that. And that's what my job is. I try to get you to look at Animorphs and see the positives out of that. So, thank you. And I shall see you next time. Less rambling now, please. Let's go. See you next time. Ta-ra.